I'm Joe Bainline.
And I'm David Hunt.
With NewsWrap, a summary of some of the news in or affecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending May 14th, 2022. Texas parents of transgender kids are facing child abuse investigations again thanks to the state Supreme Court. It approved the state's emergency appeal of an Austin judge's temporary injunction on May 13th, allowing the Department of Family and Protective Services to resume probing families who support medically recommended gender-affirming health care for their children. Governor Greg Abbott had ordered the investigations. An appeals court supported the injunction against his directive until a lawsuit challenging it has been resolved, but the High Court ruled that the lower courts had abused their discretion. The justices did decide that the temporary injunction could continue for the parents of a 16-year-old transgender girl and their medical practitioner who filed the lawsuit. However, all other families and caregivers in Texas not parties to the lawsuit are suitable targets for child abuse investigations. Abbott's action was based on a legal opinion by fellow Republican Attorney General Ken Paxton. Critics say it was riddled with factual errors and faulty conclusions about gender-affirming care. The court said that while the governor had the right to issue the directive, the Department of Family and Protective Services was not obligated to follow it. It's not yet clear if the department will actually resume what many are calling an anti-trans witch hunt in the state of Texas.
The day before that state high court ruling, a Texas county judge gave the green light to the resumption of gender-affirming care for pediatric patients at Children's Medical Center, Dallas. The specialized Genesis Clinic bowed to mounting criticism by anti-trans social conservatives and political leaders and stopped accepting new patients in November. Dr. Jimena Lopez is the founder and director of the clinic, housed at and jointly operated with the University of Texas Southwestern Medical Center. She's represented by attorney Charla Aldous, who filed a lawsuit in March demanding that Genesis be allowed to accept new patients. Dallas County Court-at-Law Judge Melissa Bellin ordered the new patient restrictions lifted on May 12th, saying that management at Children's Medical Center had violated the law by interfering with, controlling, or otherwise directing any physician's professional judgment. The order is good for just 2 weeks, pending another hearing set for May 26th. The center had turned down about 100 families seeking gender-affirming care for their children since November, according to the Texas Tribune. They report that 5 new patients scheduled appointments at the center within hours of the court ruling. The Genesis program helps trans kids socialize into their identified gender, providing hormone therapy and/or puberty blockers as medically recommended. It does not perform gender-affirming surgeries. Minors rarely receive those procedures anyway.
Louisiana's version of Don't Say Gay is back from the dead. Republican State Representative Raymond Cruz pushed a committee of the whole procedure to get the entire House to override last week's House Education Committee decision. The committee had killed the bill by a vote of 7-4 with the help of 3 majority Republicans. The full House kept the bill alive, voting 55-39, mostly along party lines. Under the usual guise of protecting children, Louisiana's proposal is even more extreme than the infamous Florida law. It bans discussion of sexual orientation or gender identity in kindergarten through the 8th grade, and specifically prohibits teachers from discussing their own personal orientation through the 12th grade. Sarah Jane Guidry of the statewide queer advocacy group Forum for Equality denounced the effort to censor and control students and teachers. She said, "Moving this bill forward at the expense of LGBTQ+ students' well-being is a shameful political trick." A full House debate on Louisiana's Don't Say Gay bill has yet to be scheduled.
The pretrial detention of lesbian WNBA All-Star Brittney Griner in Russia has been extended for another month. The original court order had kept her behind bars until May 19th. Griner was arrested in late February at a Moscow area airport for allegedly carrying cannabis oil vape cartridges in her luggage on entering the country. Lawyer Alexander Boykov told the Associated Press this week that the relatively short extension of Griner's detention suggests to him that the case will come to trial soon. If convicted, she faces up to 10 years in prison. U.S. officials have been in regular contact with the Phoenix Mercury's 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and the State Department has designated her as being wrongfully detained. A consular official said she is doing as well as can be expected during exceedingly difficult circumstances. Russia may be interested in trading Griner for the notorious arms dealer known as the Merchant of Death. Victor Boot was arrested in Thailand and extradited to the U.S. in 2010, where he was convicted of smuggling weapons to Colombian rebels intended for use against U.S. citizens. He's been serving a 25-year prison sentence in New York since 2012. Griner's wife, Sherelle, has asked the public to respect their privacy as behind-the-scenes negotiations for her release continue.
2 other lesbians have escaped Russia. Partners and human rights activist Lucy Shtein and Masha Alyokhina of the punk rock performance art group Pussy Riot. Also a Moscow municipal deputy, Lucy had been under house arrest for more than a year and decided to leave a month ago when a sign saying "traitors" appeared on the couple's door. Masha's house arrest for protesting the invasion of Ukraine was about to be changed to a 21-day stint in a penal colony. They made their separate ways to Lithuania, each evading police by dressing as commonplace Moscow food delivery couriers. Lucy told The Guardian, "It was really convenient that delivery couriers have such big bags." Pussy Riot first made headlines 10 years ago when they staged a colorful protest in Moscow's Christ the Savior Cathedral against Vladimir Putin. They've been on his enemies list ever since, even though they thoughtfully decorated Russian government buildings with rainbow pride flags for his birthday in 2020. Masha and Lucy left Russia reluctantly, but Putin's escalating purge of truth-telling journalists and human rights activists since his Ukraine invasion convinced them that they could do more good outside the country. Several bandmates have also been able to leave Russia, and Lucy says Pussy Riot has started a European tour to raise funds for Ukrainian refugees.
The Greek parliament has banned conversion therapy, but only for vulnerable people, such as minors or those with legal guardians. Those who flaunt the law face fines and prison terms. The legislation also bans promoting or advertising conversion therapy to minors. The medically debunked practice that falsely claims to change LGBTQ people often does real mental health damage. Some queer activists complain that the ban doesn't go far enough. Consenting adults can still volunteer for the treatments that even Greece's health minister, Thanos Plavris, calls not only not a therapy, but not supported scientifically. Athens-based LGBTQ rights group Olka warns that the loophole still leaves thousands of young people vulnerable to abuse and may exempt faith-based forms of the practice, such as exorcism. For example, conversion therapy is aggressively promoted on a website funded by the Greek Orthodox Church.
Finally,
how low can you go?
Some Republican members of the United States Senate want to protect children from disturbing content featuring LGBTQ characters on television. Senator Roger Marshall of Indiana drafted the offensive letter warning the TV Parental Guidelines Advisory Board that topics of a sexual nature have become aggressively politicized and promoted in children's programming, including experimental treatments for mental disorders like gender dysphoria. The letter singled out the Republicans' favorite punching bag of late, Disney, more punishment for its belated opposition to Florida's Don't Say Gay law. A press release from Marshall's office cites reports that Disney plans to increase LGBTQ characters in what he calls their latest campaign to embed left-wing sexual politics into its children's programming. Senators Mike Braun of Indiana, Steve Daines of Montana, Kevin Kramer of North Dakota, and Mike Lee of Utah signed on to Marshall's letter. It sets a May 18th deadline for the advisory board to respond to their request for a revised rating system to warn parents about mature content. So parents should beware and add to Anything Disney for perilous shows cited by Marshall's office, Danger Force and The Loud House on Nickelodeon, and Netflix's upcoming Dead End, Paranormal Park, and long-running She-Ra and the Princess of Power.
We're gonna win in the end. We must be strong. We must be strong. And we must be brave. We must be brave. We're gonna reach inside, stand together and fight. Never let it go. We must be strong.
That's NewsWrap, global queer news with attitude, for the week ending May 14th, 2022. Follow the news in your area and around the world. An informed community is a strong community.
NewsWrap is written by Greg Gordon, edited by Lucia Chappelle, produced by Brian DeShazer, and brought to you by you.
Thank you. Help keep us in ears around the world at thiswayout.org, where you can also read the text of this newscast and much more.
And you can read the transcript and listen to NewsWrap each week by subscribing to our This Way Out radio channel on YouTube. For This Way Out, I'm Joe Bainline. Stay healthy.
And I'm David Hunt. Stay safe.
This Way Out delivers LGBTQ news and culture to more than 150 local communities on radio stations around the world, and we are also a free online news service. You can choose your favorite way to listen, online or on the air, at thiswayout.org. Please sign up for our free e-newsletter, Inside This Way Out. We will respect your trust in us and make sure your personal information is never shared with others.
Just send us an email at info@thiswayout.org to receive the informative and unique addition to the show. You'll be invited to join us for a more in-depth look into our stories and be encouraged to learn more about This Way Out's 3 decades of broadcast activism.
We hope you choose to join us in celebration of LGBTQ history and culture. Email us at info@thiswayout.org to join the movement.
We'll make sure you always know what's going on inside This Way Out.